In English grammar, we have an idiom known as eat an elephant. Eat an elephant means to take a large goal and break it down into small, achievable units. In today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do. How to take a large milestone, like the RD exam, break it down into small units, and design a system, not a goal, to maximize your productivity, your progress, and help yourself pass the RD exam. This lesson and the framework that you're about to learn has been inspired by the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. First, let's make a distinction. What's the difference between a goal and a system? Well, as stated in Atomic Habits, a goal is a result you want to achieve, but a system is a process that leads to those results. For example, winning a championship is the goal, but practicing for the championship is part of the system. Likewise, building a business is the goal, but creating a product is part of the system. Or another example could be learning the piano versus playing a new tune. The ultimate difference between both goals and systems is locked within the purpose. The purpose of setting a goal is to win the game, but the purpose of building a system is to continue playing the game. But why do you need a system? And why is a goal not enough? There's 3 specific reasons why creating a system is more powerful than setting a goal, and all of these reasons have been pulled from the book Atomic Habits, along with some research behind habit formation and productivity. Reason number 1, optimize your brain. When you create a system, you optimize your brain by building habits that give you small wins. And this makes you feel happier and motivates you to keep going. This is not an airy idea. This is actually based from real brain science because according to a study published in the journal NEURON, a group of neuroscientists, discovered that habits and goals are stored in different areas of the brain. There's a region in our brain called the orbitofrontal cortex that's responsible for converting our dreamy, wishful goals into solid, automatic habits. And here's the key point. This is the same exact region that's responsible for controlling our happiness, our dopamine levels, one of those feel-good chemicals that's released into your system. It's a neurotransmitter and it plays a vital role in your mood. So here's the bottom line. Systems are filled with small wins that boost your happiness and motivate you to keep going. Reason number 2, progress, not hyperfocus. Sometimes when you set a goal, you lock yourself inside a cage. You put yourself into a pigeonhole and become fixated with accomplishing the goal and wait to be happy until you've achieved that goal. But guess what? That happiness that you're seeking is momentary, it's fleeting, and it's finite because it only lasts for a day, few hours, weeks, and sometimes even months. Instead of waiting to be happy with a system in place, you shift your thinking to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. Dare I say you might even fall in love with the process, but if that's too much of a stretch, at least you'll be satisfied with the system you have in place because it's giving you those small, consistent wins and daily results that are taking you closer to your goal of passing the RD exam. It's kind of like that quote by Martin Luther King Jr. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. That's reason number 2, progress, not hyperfocus. The third and final reason is that when you fix the input, the outputs will change themselves. When you make an effort to change your input, your behavior, your daily action steps, the outcome that you're seeking, the end result, will fix itself. A quick example is if you have a messy room, which is the output, but you change your behavior, the input, by taking a few minutes every day to put things back where they belong, the output, your end goal of a clean room, will happen on its own. Those inputs are small changes that you make on a daily basis, but they have a compound effect, and they're like seeds because they multiply and they grow. And here's the point that I'm trying to make. One tiny microscopic change can have an astounding effect on your life. Just a 1% push every day can add up to a massive change that you will see and feel in just a few weeks or months from now. This is quoting the author. And that's reason number 3. Fix the input, and the output will change itself. So how do you create a system? I've created a 4-step framework, a process that you can use to build your own system to study for the RD exam more effectively, starting right now. But before we get started, take the next 30 seconds to jump over to thenutritiongenius.com/system and download a copy of my systems workbook. It's going to help you navigate the framework and get the most out of this lesson. When you download it, you'll be added to my newsletter, The Swift RD, of which you can opt out at any time. Let's get started. So here's how the cycle works. There's 4 spokes to this wheel. Step number 1, or spoke number 1, is to visualize your dream situation. This is the first and most crucial step because your job is to just get facts, to identify your current steps, where you're struggling, so that you can get a deeper understanding of where you are in relationship to where you want to go. If you're using the workbook, start with exercise number 1, section A. Explore your current situation. Ask yourself some questions. What are you doing in your study sessions? Where are you currently struggling? Where do you get stuck? What's working and what isn't working? Explain why you're not getting the results you want. Be detailed, be specific, and paint an accurate picture of your current situation. Think about what happens from the moment you open up your study guide to the moment you close it. Put everything down in section A of the workbook. On the same page, or section B, describe your dream situation and how you want it to be. Describe the same situation but in a more positive, progress-oriented way, and explain it as if it's happening right now in present tense. Once you've done this part of the exercise, you'll have more clarity on where you are and where you want to go. And now you're ready for step number 2, the second spoke of the wheel, which is to brainstorm incremental changes. Step number 2 is about making tiny, potential, but practical changes that you can plug into your strategy to replace any negative, inactive study techniques or behaviors that are stalling your progress. So here's how this part works. Review your answers from exercise number 1, section A and B from the workbook, sift through those answers, and mark all of the inactive study techniques with a red minus sign and the active study techniques with a green plus sign. The key is this: be objective, be honest, and practice the art of detachment. Don't glaze over the truth. Ask yourself questions like, which steps are wasting my time, which steps advance the needle, and which steps are working. Finally, to close out this step, recopy one of the inactive study techniques that you identified in your narrative with a red minus sign and convert it into an active study technique. If you're not familiar with learning and memory science and brain science, I've created an active study bank and a non-active study bank to help you expedite this part of the process. Reference the bank to swap out any inactive study techniques with active study techniques and write all of your changes down. As you're doing this, brainstorm potential changes. Which positive productive steps could replace the negative non-productive steps, or which active study techniques could replace the inactive study techniques? Another question that's worth asking is, what daily incremental changes can I make or commit to convert this behavior into a positive outcome? Step number 3, execute the how, is to find one bite-sized action step that you can plug into your study session right now. To carry out this part of the step, take one of the active study techniques from the list that you made on the second worksheet and deconstruct it into small units. List all of the viable tasks that you would carry out if you were to implement this particular task. Then, pick out the most practical, sustainable task from the list, and then set a timer for 2 minutes and immediately test out your new active study technique or your new productive step. Finally, we've arrived at the last step, which is to refine the 2-minute task that you've identified. Most of the work that you've done has led up to this step, so the only job now is to track your progress and ensure that you're carrying out your steps and making adjustments when necessary. So here's what you have to do. Over the next 72 hours, repeat your action step or your active study technique for the next 3 days. Pay attention to how you're performing in your study sessions. Are you struggling? Are you answering questions with more accuracy? Are you feeling more confident? Are you closing your gap, or are you opening your gap? If you happen to be struggling, then you need to refine your step. Adjust, modify the task, or switch to a different task from the task list that you created in exercise number 3. And that's it. That's how you take an elephant-sized goal like the RD exam and break it down one bite at a time. Some final words: rinse and repeat this process until you have a handful of techniques that you can cycle through over the next several weeks while you're studying for the exam. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and share it with your friends to get notifications when I upload more of them. By the way, my name is Priyanka. I'm the founder and creator of Nutrition Genius. I'm an RD and I help future dietitians like yourself study and pass the RD exam using the power of brain science. You can find me on Twitter at iNourishMe, or better yet, on Instagram at nutrition.genius. Remember to go to thenutritiongenius.com/systems to download a free copy of the systems workbook. It's going to be up there for a limited period of time, so make sure that you go ahead and grab it while it's available. On that note, thanks so much for watching, best wishes on the RD exam, and I'll see you in the next video.